So, if you are just starting to make your website or you're thinking about migrating to another website from an existing one, you might be wondering, what is the right platform for me? That's what I'm going to be addressing on this episode of the BB&J podcast. I'm your host, John Lind. Great to have you. Let's get into it. So, the first all around, this will do pretty well for pretty much everyone. Builder is WordPress. It is very commonly used. Like a huge chunk of people actually use WordPress. It has a ton of plugins that integrate very well with other sites, with social media. Those plugins are guaranteed to work regularly. I have never really heard any major complaints about the platform. All around, good job. Are there certain situations where another platform might be better? Absolutely. I'll get into that a little bit later. But if you're not sure, if you're looking for a general site, if you're looking for a platform that isn't going to cost you like a ton of money, especially if you're not sure that you know you're putting your money in a good place. I mean, with all this stuff, if you're investing in a platform that's going to make you a ton of money and you know that for a fact, absolutely go for it. But WordPress is usually a good start. And there's always this question with all these platforms of balance, right? You want a website that an experienced web designer can get the most out of, but maybe a business owner, your social media manager, your office administrator, if they're working on it, they're going to be able to actually make changes, not break the site, and that variable, a good site platform has a little bit something for everyone, where everyone can kind of use it. So if that is WordPress for you, then by all means go for it. If you do have problems with that, or if you're looking for other options, there's many available for you. The big ones that I know of are Squarespace and Wix. I've worked with both a little bit. I'm personally not a huge fan of Squarespace in terms of, from my end, how easily you can modify stuff and kind of the way that it's structured. But I think what it does really well is provides a platform that someone without a ton of experience in the back end, web design, web programming, can work with and make an actually functional website. Because that's a huge thing, right? I talk about that all the time. A good website is awesome, party rocking. If you're getting your most out of it, you're driving traffic to it, that's wonderful. Bad website just looks really bad on you, and you can be leaving patients, clients, customers on the table. You don't want to be doing that. One thing I will say is, if you're trying to sell out as a marketplace, definitely, go on those social media, go on Facebook Marketplace and whatever platforms can do that. But you need a good central hub that communicates that well in terms of buying and selling, or selling especially. And I cannot think of a better platform for that than Shopify. Once again, Shopify is like the WordPress of selling sites. Now, WordPress does have some compatibility. However, if the primary purpose of your website is to sell a product, whether you are, a retailer, like a small scale retailer looking at buying and then reselling products, or you make your own product, I mean, I definitely hear about people selling on Etsy, but if you're scaling up a little bit and you want that level of integration with a bunch of different platforms, I would highly recommend Shopify. Um, Wix, I briefly touched upon that. I mean, like with all of these, they're not bad platforms. And honestly, what I would recommend for you is start with WordPress if it's just like a site for your company. If you're focused on selling an online product, Shopify does an excellent job. But if you, I will say about WordPress is it's a little bit less, not like non-programmer friendly than say Squarespace. So if you really want to make your own website and you don't have a ton of experience, you might want to take some time to look at your options. Um, See what works for you. See what you get that you can work on. Where if you need to modify something, it's not going to, be a huge hassle. Because like that's the whole thing, right? You want to be able to modify it easily, especially if you're using your website for driving campaigns, for driving traffic, for showcasing yourself as a company, and you're doing the right thing, which is updating it regularly. Like you should be updating your website regularly. Search engines can tell when a website gets updated, when pages get updated, and it does affect your page ranking if you don't update, or like based on the frequency at which you update it. So I talked about WordPress as kind of a starting point, and then got into some of the other options. The last thing I'll say is there are a lot of website platforms that are specific for a certain industry. And this is where it gets a little tricky. I have worked with a few of these websites. They're like there's specific websites for realtors, for property inspectors, I believe, for what's the term, hairstylists or barbers, and those are specifically designed for those kind of people, right? Can you advertise home listings on WordPress or Wix or Squarespace? Sure, but are there platforms that are specifically designed for those things, for listings, for integrating with Realtor.com, with Zillow? Yes, absolutely. And if you are in a niche where there is a specific website builder platform for you, by all means. I would say, you know, one, there's something incredibly powerful about testimonials. See what other people's experiences are like. But these platforms are specifically designed for the people in in the niche to be able to use them, get the most out of them, and it specifically caters to those services. So I gave the example of a hairstylist. If you're a hairstylist, there are specific platforms available to you that are going to, most hairstylists aren't web designers. So these platforms are designed to be very usable, be able to make your own site well for those with a little bit less web design experience. And they are specifically designed to and optimized for scheduling appointments, for selling online products, specific for hairstyling or hair care products. So that is something that I will say. If your niche, if your industry has a specific website that is industry standard, because that's a big thing, you know, you want to be with the industry standard because that's where everything updates, that's where the new stuff is, then absolutely go for it. That's my 2 cents on um, site builders, specific site builders, and site builders in general. So hope you find this helpful. I'm trying to kind of vary my content up, give something that people can really get a lot out of. If you did, please by all means leave a comment. If there's anything else specific or even general that you'd like me to talk about, I ask that you leave a comment here on whatever video platform you're watching this on, or go to bbdigitallab.com/podcast. There you can leave me a nice little message, questions, comments, concerns, recommendations. But that's all I have for you today. Really appreciate you sticking it out with me, and I will see you next week.